And welcome to Sports Barguements. Now, we're about to do something that I've been trying to do since I was about 9 years old. Terry Lash, Lance Morris, Frank Gargano, and Daniel Kotick with you. Dan the Man, and it's a bunch of guys from BG getting back together to do something that means absolutely nothing. And that is a fantasy draft for your back alley all-star teams throughout the history of the NBA. These are the guys that you're going to want on your squad when you're in that alley. You're being surrounded, and they're going to be coming firing down the fire escapes to save you. These are the guys you want on your team. How they put the ball in the basket doesn't matter so much. It's how they protect you when you're down and out. Gentlemen, how you doing tonight?
Oh, I am doing great, Terry. How's it going?
I was doing pretty good. I just want to thank you guys for joining me for this. I've been thinking about this for a long time. Something that we all love. We all love sports. A lot of people love sports, but it's always the obscure stuff. The who would win in a battle with the Looney Tune squad and the Toon squad if you went, or the Monstars if you went at it 7 times. I don't think the Looney Tune squad is winning that series. I got the Monstars at 5, to be honest. These are the things that real hardcore sports fans care about. The obscure things that maybe after a couple of beers really matter to you. And this is something that I think will be a lot of fun. We're going to do a fantasy draft of all of these teams, and they're going to be 5 starters. So we're not just going to do whoever you want from the history of basketball. It's going to be a point guard, shooting guard, small forward, power forward, and center. And we're going to do a 6-man coming off the bench and providing his goonly duties. And we're going to do a snake order, and we're going to see who has the best back alley all-star team of all time. We're going to put it on Twitter. We're going to put it to a fan vote on who has the best team. We're going to get right into it. And Lance Morris, you have the first pick.
I feel like this is actually a tough spot because then everybody's going to kind of go based off of this. And I mean, it's a lot different because if you just draft, like you said, not a starting 5, it's all, big giant humans. Sure. So that kind of changes how the outlook goes.
You got to have some skill, though.
Yeah, you got to have some skill, but I'm thinking from an actual back alley, not on the basketball court back alley.
Before we get started, I want to mention, we can't do any Herschel Walkers out there. There's some dude that played for the Jazz in '82 that became a KGB assassin that I don't know about. We're not putting Javaris Crittenden in there just because we kill a guy. We're talking about pure basketball stuff. Has to be basketball related is why we're picking them. Lance, go ahead.
Yeah, so I think with the first overall pick, I'm going to go with Rasheed Wallace.
Wow, first pick.
Yes.
Okay.
Good Lance Wood.
Because you look at what Rasheed Wallace did throughout his career, and he'll be my power forward, by the way.
Okay.
For Rasheed Wallace, you look at what he did throughout his career. He has the record for 1 year of technical fouls. That's never going to be broken because of the fine system they now have in place. You look at what he did on the court, and he's not going to be the best player, maybe, but he's going to be an enforcer type. Guy comes up with the ball, don't lie. Had his championship ring from the Pistons in 04 resized to fit his middle finger. So that's the kind of guy I want leading my team.
Yeah, but I don't know. I'm a little worried about all bark, not as much bite. You got all those tentacles, but how many of them are just like staring at the ref or just screaming obscenities? Because I feel like that's where half the tentacles
came from. Shooting a friggin' 3.
Yeah, he can shoot 3s. Stretch 4.
I hated when he shot 3s. I couldn't stand it.
Lance, it's a decent pick. I just don't know number 1, man. A little suspect.
That's why I said it was a hard spot.
Yeah, that's true. I never liked number 1 in any sort of fantasy draft. I hate it.
Fair enough.
All right. We're going to go to Frank. Frank, you got number 2.
Gee, I wonder what the kid from the suburbs of Chicago is going to pick. I'm taking the greatest trash talker in all of possibly sports, Michael Jeffrey Jordan.
Ooh.
You got to have one guy who can play. I think going with the GOAT right off the bat, the guy who ruined Muggsy Bogues' jump shot by calling him a fucking midget. That is my number 1 pick.
Michael Jordan. The best thing about Jordan, I would ever say from this standpoint is, well, he's got a couple of good qualities, but his fight against Reggie Miller, he looked like a rabid dog ready to murder the entire planet. So you get that guy in a fight where he's backed in the corner, I don't know what he's capable of.
He's that crazy ass dude that will do whatever it takes to win.
Yeah. So we got shooting guard. That's gonna be tough because shooting when you get to the little guys, you don't see them as much as the kind of enforcers. That's why I get this kind of tough.
Yeah, I didn't even think of MJ in really the all dark alley team kind of light.
You got to think he plays the mental game really well. You got to think of everything.
Yeah. And the thing about Jordan is he took abuse the entire 90s, the most physical era of basketball. And
Jordan rules.
He never bitched about it. And if you're going to have a guy that's going to be there to take punches from a couple of dudes, Jordan's going to come back every single time. So you got that. Okay, I can see that. I don't know about him offensively. I don't know Jordan throwing a couple of punches. I'm a little curious about it, but it definitely can take some abuse.
We'll have some enforcers to back him up. Don't you worry.
All right, I'm pick 3. I was going to go differently with this, but I honestly did not think he's still going to be on the table at this point, and that's going to be Rick Mahorn from the Bad Boy Pistons.
He was on my list.
Rick Mahorn, I think, is the toughest dude that's ever played the game of basketball. The dude is a mountain. Have you ever seen the video of Isaiah Thomas punching him in the face? He not only didn't flinch, he laughed at him afterwards. It was the coolest thing I've ever seen in a game of basketball. Rick Mahorn, and I've seen him in person now. He's overweight now, but he's the largest individual I've ever seen in my life. The man is massive. Mountain Rick Mahorn is going to be my power forward.
All right, so I guess that's to me now.
Brings it to Dan.
All right.
And, of course, snake draft, so you get back-to-backs.
Yeah.
Back-to-back. All right. I'm having trouble about who I want to go with here. All right, I'm going to go – my instinct when I heard about back alley, I thought, who is the guy that pissed me off the most thinking about basketball players? And I think it has to be from the Pistons as well. And I'm going to go Bill Laimbeer.
Yep. Oh, yeah. Ultimate instigator.
Ultimate instigator. When you are playing a style of basketball like this where – half of what you do on the court is getting into the other guy's head and just getting people out of their game. No one did it better than Bill Laimbeer, and I would much rather have him on my team than have him going against my team. So Bill Laimbeer for my first pick.
My dad's least favorite sport is basketball, but his most hated athlete of all time. If you ever want to get my dad on a rant, just say Bill Laimbeer, and he'll just immediate look of disgust on his face.
Like, forget Christian Laettner. Everyone hates Bill Laimbeer.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I don't think you could ever watch a Pistons game unless you're a Pistons fan. You despise the guy. Every single thing about him. There's not one redeeming quality about Bill Laimbeer.
He ruined Kevin McHale's foot. Like, ruined it.
And there's Pistons fans that hate Bill Laimbeer. Like, Pistons fans, like, hate him, too.
Well, yeah, he fought with his team like every day at practice. The guy fought everybody.
Yeah. All right, so you got him at your center spot?
Yeah, have him at my center spot. So, power forward. I'm going power forward with this, and I'll go to the opposite side, guy that I loved watching when I first started to kind of really – like, I always watched basketball. When I really got into the NBA, started following it, from my team, I think he was one of the scariest dudes out on the court and just could play through anything and no one would fuck with him. And that's Kevin Garnett.
Oh, yeah. KG is terrifying. That's a dude, like, he's kind of skinny, but he's crafty and wily. He's the least person I want to get into a tussle with because you never know what's going to happen.
Honey Nut Cheerios, I think that kind of says it all.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's the other thing. Like, he is a low-key trash talker. Like, people talk about him and his trash talk and everything like that, but I don't think he gets, the amount of respect about, what he was able to do. I forget what – I'm trying to remember the famous story about whoever it was came up and talked to him. For some reason, I think it was Joakim Noah. Came up and talked to him, like, in the first game that they played, and –
because Joakim Noah loved KG growing up.
Yeah, Noah loved KG and was like, "Dude, you're my favorite player. Like, I watch you." And he told him to fuck off.
Yeah,
it's the best in the world.
I think isn't he the one that made fun of Charlie Villanueva for his skin condition?
Yes. Yeah, most certainly.
Yeah.
I think the exact words were cancer patient.
Yeah.
Wow.
Trash talk. I don't know. KG's tough to top trash talk wise.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's up there, and
And
he's
dude,
long, man. That
and he-
reach.
Well, he's basically, a power forward / center. So, that's two big guys right around the rim. I think you put there, and he's got the size of a center, but can guard out on the perimeter. So versatile. And he was a big guy that has a hell of a shot, I think.
Yeah, KG definitely a tough guy. Definitely not a guy I want to mix up in a back alley with. All right, I'm gonna go also a big trash talker, a guy that I think is very underappreciated in the history of basketball, and this is a point guard who I don't think anyone of other point guards comes even close to him on the trash talk spectrum. Great defender, the glove, Gary Payton.
That's a good one.
I don't know. For me, when I was thinking about this, I was doing my big board. The hardest position was point guard, and
Definitely.
there wasn't really anyone else that really stood out. I mean, when you think about point guards, there's always those tough dudes, kind of like what I was talking about with Jordan earlier, that could take punishment over and over again, and they're never going to quit. But I don't know how many guys are going to dish it out. Gary Payne's going to dish it out for sure. The only I remember very physical instance or dirty instance. You ever see the video where he gets crossed up by white chocolate and he just tries to throw his leg out there and like kind of a fuck you? Oh, that's one of my favorite Gary Payton moments.
It's basically how I played defense.
The Olay and then try to
The Olay
Yeah.
and then hip check,
Kotnick just standing over me. Down low.
That's right.
I didn't even know you were behind me. Go up for the easy layup, get swatted. So next possession, I go up to him, about to swat the shit out of him, and he just travels and said, "Nope, not taking that embarrassment." He walked away.
No easy button.
Oh, man.
All right, Frank, you're up.
Frank?
Oh yeah, I am up. I'm also gonna go power forward. 7-time rebound champ, and the dude
here we go.
dated Madonna. Craziest dude ever, Dennis Rodman.
And we're just gonna have the whole Bulls team.
Do you
here.
do you want the
you just
whole
want
90s
Bulls,
Bulls or what?
Do my picks make sense or no?
Yeah. Rodman for sure. I'm surprised Rodman got to the second round, honestly.
Yeah.
Exact. So was I.
I
So,
thought about it.
Yeah.
dude, he's our closest relation as a country to North Korea.
So true.
I
That's so
mean,
true.
oh my gosh.
He is our North Korean Richard Nixon.
When
Who,
Like, he's
who
our
are,
dude.
who are the people we can send to North Korea to maybe make things better? Let's send Dennis Rodman.
dude,
Oh, no one ever said make it better. We just sent him there.
dude, I
Who,
think it's
who's- who else is crazy enough to go over there?
exactly. Dennis Rodman can understand
We're gonna
Kim
send
Jong-un's
Rodman.
perspective.
But yeah, that's my dude. Big guy, crazy as hell, big rebounder, brings a lot to the table.
All right, Lance, you're up.
All right. Whew, this is where we can change how things are going. I think for my first of two picks, I'm going to quote the great American philosopher Kanye West.
Wow. Okay.
Drive 90 miles like Matt Barnes just to whoop an ass.
All right. Now, are you playing Matt Barnes as your small forward or as your bench player?
a
Matt
good
Barnes, I'll play him as he'll be my starting small forward. I think you look at what he's done with his career, and the only moment he's ever gotten quote unquote punked is, of course, the moment I know Terry knows fondly, and that was when he tried to ball fake Kobe, and Kobe did not flinch. That moment aside, he has been a terror for every single team he's been on his career. I think most recently, he was on the Warriors this past year. Didn't have to do a whole lot because of Draymond Green being the on-the-court guy for them. But I think Matt Barnes is definitely a big name that I'm also surprised he made it to the second round too.
Yeah, Matt Barnes, out of all players that represent that goon guy from hockey that just comes off and he's on the ice just to start shit, Matt Barnes is that guy personified.
Like
in the
just
NBA.
look at what he did for the Clippers when they had CP3 and Blake. It was anyone hit Blake, okay, Matt, go get him, and he went and got him and would probably get ejected.
Yeah, and
Especially if you sleep with his wife.
exactly. I was just about to mention this 5 picture is one of the most random and awesome parts about basketball for the last 3 seasons.
Oh gosh. Okay, now for my shooting guard, I'm going to go with a guy who has changed his kind of changed his demeanor a little bit because he became a coach. But back in the playing days, everyone knew not to fuck with this guy, and that would be Jerry Stackhouse.
Ooh, Jerry Stackhouse.
You look at what he did as a player. He was a pretty good player. Had a couple years, I think, as an all-star. But as a guy for any team he was on, he would be the guy in the middle of all the fights. He didn't always start the fights, but he most certainly ended a lot of fights. And you look at what he did, for the Pistons, for the Wizards for a little bit. He, I think, is a quality shooting guard, and especially because it's hard to find that kind of player at your guard position. I think that's why Jerry Stackhouse a good pick to start round number 3.
All right, we got Jerry Stackhouse. No, that's not one I really thought of because that's one of those dudes that just played forever.
Yeah.
Jerry Stackhouse' career just lasted so long. Didn't he play for the Nets at the end of his career?
Oh, I think he did. That sounds right.
He was one of those dudes that just bounced, kind of what Vince Carter's doing now, and just bounced around like 6 teams. He finally exited. It's kind of hard to believe that back when he was with the Pistons, he was actually a really good player and a tough dude. How many Pistons do we have so far?
It's been a lot of Pistons, actually.
Are you surprised, though?
I have 2 with Stackhouse and Wallace. Rodman played for him. Mahorn played for him. Lambeer.
Yeah,
everybody's got a Piston. Every single one of us.
The team was called the Bad Boys. How do you not take the whole team?
Yeah.
True.
All right, Frank,
you're off to me.
Yep,
all right, this one's going to be a bit of a stretch. Okay. And with me, that's no surprise.
Yeah, not really.
I'm going to go for small forward. I'm going to take another psychological guy, a known trash talker, can play pretty well. Tussled with Bill Lambier back in the day. I'm going to take the dude from Indiana, Larry Bird.
Ooh,
dang.
Larry Legend.
I'm taking Larry Legend.
Oh, I was really hoping people would just forget about him because I wanted it.
I was thinking a lot of I've got a lot of goons on here that can throw hands, but thinking a dude that's just going to get in your head. And
dude, Larry Bird could throw hands, though. He pelted Lambier with a basketball.
Took him. That was one of my favorite parts of the Bad Boys 30 for 30, talking about getting punched in the face by Larry Bird. And Lambier comes to and looks up at the trainer and says, "Did they throw him out?"
Yeah, Larry Bird is one of the toughest dudes in the history of basketball. I mean, that dude got pelted regularly and always brought it back. So yeah, Larry Bird's a good choice. I think I honestly like Larry Bird better than Jordan in this scenario.
I think you could
think outside the box.
I think you can make the point for that.
Yeah,
you can make a case for that.
Perfect. I'll take him.
All right, so we got Larry Bird coming in for Frank. We're in round 3 of the back alley draft on Sports Barguements. Talk about players that you want by your side. If you're down and out in the back alley, maybe had too much to drink and you're going to get your ass beat, these guys are coming to your rescue. And I am pumped that I got this guy coming here because I was thinking about taking this guy with my first pick. We're talking about crazy. There is no one that's ever been crazier in the history of basketball because he's literally insane. Thanks to psychiatrists after making the game-winning 3 in Game 7 to beat the Celtics. That will be Ron Artest, also known as Meta World Peace.
I had a feeling you'd be taking
if I didn't take Matt Barnes, that's what I would have taken.
How many fights did he get into that escalated into the stands?
I mean, just the one.
I think it was just the one.
But it is the biggest fight in the history of basketball.
Yes.
Oh my!
Maybe sports.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I think that's I think
it probably is.
Yeah. I mean, just looking at that dude's face, I watch that video about once a year, the Malice in the Palace video on YouTube, and seeing that white dude's face when Ron Artest is running at him. There's never been an oh shit moment quite like that when you realize I have fucked up royally.
Yeah. Maybe I shouldn't have thrown that beer. I don't know. Maybe that was a bad decision.
All right.
What do you do in that situation?
Cry.
Sorry, Dan.
No.
What do you do? Like, do you say, all right, I'm gonna square up with Meta?
Dude, you don't square up. You just start swinging, and you hope like you get that one, man.
I feel like I just play the victim and just hope to win some money out of
How can you play the victim after throwing a beer at him and talking shit the whole game?
Yeah.
Look, man, you're getting your ass beat no matter what.
Yeah, you're right. It's a no-win situation.
I'm trying to get some money and some sympathy out of it.
Yeah. Now, Frank's right. You can't win there. You got to try to find any sort of moral victories you can.
All right, Dan, go ahead.
All right. So this one I'm going shooting guard, and Frank, you mentioned 30 for 30 about the bad boys. I'm gonna go with one of my all-time favorite 30 for 30s, and that is winning time.
Oh,
For my
come
shooting
on.
guard, I want Reggie
He's
Miller.
flopping
Yes.
all over the place.
Reggie Miller, sharpshooter, and any guy that can go into the garden and hold his crotch at Spike Lee and his wife is a guy I want on my team.
He's so skinny, though. Like, I feel like
He's not lasting in a fight.
Yeah, I
Like,
feel
he's
like he's
not.
gonna be frail.
Hey,
Dude.
again, guys, psychological. You got to be thinking both ways. That dude is nuts.
Dude, and you can't just go off of body type, man, because he is
Reggie Miller
scrappy.
is one of the guys known for starting flopping.
He is scrappy, though. That's not about body type, though. That's in the game. That's in the game. I'm talking if he is getting into it. I mean, you watch those meetups with the Knicks, man. I mean, he was squaring up with like Oakley shit, man. And Ewing, I will take Reggie Miller. I'll take him at the shooting guard.
Yeah, I mean, the good thing about Reggie is it is a dude that has never backed down once. Like, all right, I
Yeah.
talked about earlier that fight with Jordan. He was like, he's gonna get the worst out of everyone. He's gonna get you out of your game.
All right, so my next pick is where I'm having some trouble because I really wanted to go here, and I know Terry's gonna bash me for it, but I want to throw Allen Iverson at my point guard position.
God. Here we go.
There we go. Embrace debate.
Embrace the debate.
All right, we're embracing debate here. I got no dude play shooting guard like his entire career. I know he's 6 foot, but he was Eric Snow existed. We can't just forget. He's a person.
He played on two of the worst
can't
teams to
pretend
make
he
the
was
finals
there.
ever.
Dude, he single-handedly took that Sixers team to the finals.
Yes,
I'm
in
sorry.
shooting guard position.
No, everything ran through Allen Iverson, and I think if he had played point guard in his career, which he did, he plays point guard in his career, and if I'm putting him on a team with the guys that I already have in there, Allen Iverson is the guy that I want orchestrating this kind of basketball. That's my case for Allen Iverson.
All right, Frank, what do you think?
It's your podcast, man. Your rules.
Frank, the whole rule was that you
No.
stop.
I would allow it.
Okay, we got 1 for 1. Lance, what do you think?
I'm looking at you, Lance.
Well, yeah, that's kind of how this works right now. I mean, he played more shooting guard than point guard, but he did still play point guard. So I don't know. He played more shooting guard than point guard. So if that's the deciding factor, then I would say no.
That's 2
Wow.
no's, Dan.
Wow.
E9.
You need a new pick, son.
I do need a new pick. I was
You should have
really
taken him instead of Reggie Miller.
Yeah.
If I was gonna pick Allen Iverson, you were gonna tell me no either way.
Well, how about this? Well, what you could do is you can take Allen Iverson and you can move Reggie to small forward. Does that sound?
All right, I'll do that. I really wanted when I first heard this. Allen Iverson was the first guy I thought of about this.
And they should have been your first pick.
I figured.
Ooh.
Well, Terry came down with from
Oh, I
on
mean,
high, holding the two tablets, and I figured everyone was going to stay away from him. So
He did. He called him out right away. He
Right
knew this was-
away.
All right. So we got Allen Iverson as Dan's shooting guard, and we're moving Reggie to small forward.
Works for me.
All right. But just as a pick in itself, yeah, AI has got to be pound for pound like the toughest dude ever.
I mean, the step over shot.
Yeah.
The step over shot. How just disrespectful is that in the Lakers' house? I thought that is one of the best moments. Like watching that, I love that clip of him over Tyronn Lue.
Yeah, you know,
I mean, it's Tyronn Lue, but still.
That was the only game the Lakers lost that whole postseason. It was that
Yeah.
AI scored like 48 or something like that, and he single-handedly stopped them from having the best postseason in basketball history. So, yeah, I mean, of course, AI was AI. The dude just, if I'm in a fight, Allen Iverson's fucking crazy too, man. That dude is tough as nails.
Yeah.
I would love to have that guy next to me.
He'll scrap.
Oh yeah, for sure. My favorite part about AI is when he got into the Hall of Fame, he didn't change. He wore like a do-rag and a
Yeah.
old school jersey. Like, he was AI. He's gonna be AI to the day he dies. I saw him last week at a Sixers game, and he rocks the same stuff he's been rocking since 1996 at Georgetown. Like, awesome. All right.
All right.
All right.
AI.
It's you.
All right, Frank, what you got?
Oh, is it me? I thought it was Terry.
I thought it was you, Terry.
Oh, wait,
Yeah,
it's me. My
it's you.
bad. Yeah, it is me. All right.
Unless you want to forfeit your pick, you can do that. I
I mean,
guess.
I will pass on the forfeiting of the pick. I'm gonna go with a guy. Now, you played both, so you might call me out on this or not. I'm not sure, but I'm gonna go with Charles Oakley at center.
Ah,
you son of a
Damn
bitch!
it!
I was gonna take him.
Oh yeah,
Charles Oakley's
Damn it.
power forward.
yeah. He played both. I'll leave that up to you guys.
I would say power forward because he was power forward with the Bulls and he was power forward with the Knicks, and those were his two biggest spots.
Yeah, I guess then
Yeah.
power forward.
I'd put him at power
Okay.
forward.
What was my other?
Oh,
Let's see. Who did I have? I had. Can we move Mahorn to center? Mahorn was 6'10".
but did
Yeah,
he
I'd be
play
okay.
center?
I think I'd be okay with that. He played some center though, didn't he?
Yeah, with the Timberwolves after he got whatchamacallit drafted away. Expansion drafted away. He was power forward with the Pistons though.
I don't mind Mahorn to center. It got me Allen Iverson, so I'm giving it back.
All right,
All right.
then you're good.
I'm moving Mahorn to center, and I got Charles Oakley at power forward. After last year, when all that shit went down with Oakley, I still think Charles Oakley could beat up 3/4 of today's NBA players.
Hell yeah.
Easily.
Gandalf
Easily.
the Gray, he could still whoop all their ass.
All right, Frank, that's you now. bud.
Terry, you really screwed me, man.
I was surprised how
I was
little
like-
you had of that.
I was like, Oakley's going under the radar. Nobody's picking this guy.
That's what I thought.
All right, man. All my fighters are really off my list. All right, I need a center. I'm gonna go with. I'm gonna go with the dude. I'm going with Shaq for my center
Oh, okay. Yeah.
because there's no dude that could be more disrespectful, swinging his dick in your face while he's dunking over you.
And the thing about Shaq is like he's just so big. I don't know if there's been a bigger player with his like athleticism in the history of basketball. I mean, he's just all about him. He's like a globe, and you can't get around the guy. You put him in a fight, and I remember. I mean, this is outside of basketball, but he fought with was it De La Hoya in that one show?
Yeah, that Shaq
Oh,
versus-
yeah.
Yeah.
Shaq versus.
Oh, I remember watching that.
I mean, in his career, Diesel was straight muscle too. I don't think a lot of people just remember in the end of his career when he got a little fatter, but when he was in his prime, the dude was marble. He could not be moved. He was straight chiseled.
That was back when he was doing his Shaq Fu, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Shit.
He also raps, so he can rap when he's beating someone's ass. So that's
He does it
also
all.
a thing.
But yeah, I'm not my first pick at center, but I'm taking Shaq.
Yeah, that's a good pick. I'm kind of surprised you got this far. I didn't really think about Shaq that much.
Yeah.
I mean, Shaq's biggest fights. I mean, of course, the one I got to think of is with Barkley, and
Yeah.
I think
So
Barkley got
that's
the better
I mean
of
that's
that
early
one.
on.
But I mean, just the way he played, The most disrespectful dunk I think in the history of basketball was on Dudley, where he just pushed him over afterwards. It's the funniest thing. And then
Oh
Dudley
my
gets up,
gosh.
throws
The
the ball
best.
at him like that did anything. That's the 8-year-old playground move where you're mad you're getting
Oh my
beat,
gosh.
throw the ball and run off crying.
All right, Lance, it's all you, bud.
Okay, so before I make the pick, I want to see, are we okay with me moving Rasheed Wallace to center?
I would be, yeah. He played a little bit.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sure.
So with that, my first pick of my back-to-backs, cannot believe he's still on the board. Now, although we don't hear about him much because he's playing for the Kings,
I knew
Zach
it. Yeah.
Randolph.
Fair.
Oh,
That was
yeah.
mine. I was gonna put him on my bench. Honestly, if you want to put Randolph as center, I would have accepted.
Yeah, I mean, they were both big guys. But Zach
Um,
Randolph, I mean, you look at what he did on the Jail Blazers early in his career, and then how he was with the Grizzlies, becoming a better all-around player, and still at the same time being the enforcer whenever anyone tried to mess with like Conley or Gasol or any of those guys. So yeah, Zach Randolph. I cannot believe he's still here at this point in the
Yeah.
draft.
I feel like kind of hypocritical because whenever I've had like even conversations with this of just random
He's in your starting five.
my number
like
one.
just
Zach
off the top
Randolph
of your head.
has always been my dude that I was like, I would never fuck with Zach Randolph.
Yeah.
Zach Randolph is terrifying. Just looking at Zach Randolph makes me scared. Did you see what he did like 2 days ago to Boogie Cousins at like 59 years old? He looks at him and goes, "Where I'm from, bullies get bullied." He just said that like 2 days ago. The guy is gonna die with a grudge, and he just always looks like he's ready for some action. That's a good pick.
So now for my other pick, this is going to be a little harder. So I need a point guard and a sixth man. So I'm going to go. I think I'm going to still get my point guard after all this. So for my sixth man, I'm going to go with the Henny God, J.R. Smith.
J.R. Smith. That's a good pick. I
Wow.
didn't think about him at
True
all.
sixth man, and also a guy that nobody fucks with, just on and off the court. And he's not, an actual enforcer type, just at the baseline. But I don't know. You look at J.R. Smith. You don't want to mess with J.R. Smith.
No, but he did get into that scrap when the Knicks and the Nuggets got into it back when.
Back when Melo was still, with Melo.
Yeah. JR's not a guy I remotely thought of, but I think that's a pretty interesting pick. I like that. J.R. Smith.
Good choice, Lance.
Oh, thank you.
Out of the box.
Player, right?
Yeah, that's my sixth man.
All right. All right, Frank.
Guess that's back to me. All right, point guard. This like you guys said, this one was tough. But if we're assuming all these guys are in their prime, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, especially if they're gonna be your starter.
This little guy drove the lane, finished like no other, and now has no knees. But I'm taking Derrick Rose.
Derrick Rose.
Ooh.
Wow.
Derrick Rose, growing up from Inglewood neighborhood, south side of Chicago, most dangerous hood in the city. Tell me that dude can't play some street ball.
Derrick, I think your team is just like the all-star of Bills all time. I think we're just missing Scotty.
I could expect nothing less.
Derrick Rose. Man, I was kind of like, I was talking about this the other day at work. Isn't it so sad to think about how good that dude was and to where he's at now?
I was doing prep this morning. I was doing some research, and just for the hell of it, I was like, what about Derrick Rose? And I looked up like highlights from his NBA season. Sad. A lot of teams would kill for a guy like that, and just injury after injury, no knees.
I think it's like the mental part of it too, because I think that it's more than anything. I mean, he's lost his step, but I still think he's like an adequate NBA player. But dude just can't even get himself on the floor anymore because you could tell it's just in the back of his head. So yeah, that kind of sucks.
After the second tear, it took him over a season. Even after doctors cleared him, he said, "No, I don't think I'm 100%." He was like Ricky Bobby after he went flying in the car.
A great comparison.
He couldn't go past like 15 miles an hour afterwards. That's D Rose right now. And now he just straight up and left the Knicks last year. Didn't tell anybody.
I mean, that's what he just did with the Cavs practically.
Yeah, man. I was at home.
I want Derrick Rose's face photoshopped on Ricky Bobby's body in the next hour. I'm gonna be very disappointed.
That should be the thumbnail image to anybody who clicks to listen to
Yes.
this.
I think you're right. We have
For
to
sure.
work on that one. All right, I'm gonna go with my shooting guard now, and a guy that has to feed his family. He's always thinking about family first, and got into a little bit of tussle with his coach when he decided to strangle him, and that was Latrell Sprewell.
Wow.
Digging deep.
Did we lose Lance?
I
Was it really?
his video's gone for me, and now his mic's gone too.
I like the pick though. I like the
I
pick.
think Lance just
Yeah.
so mad thinking about old school Derrick Rose to the leave.
Yeah, I was making sure my phone didn't die.
Man, priorities, huh?
I'm on my phone. That's why I don't want it to die.
Dude.
All right, so this is me now. Last two picks,
Correct.
back to back. All right, I still need my point guard. I need my sixth man. So I'm going with what I know. What I know is Lakers Celtics. I'm a huge Celtics fan. And so for my point guard, I'm going to go with he might not have as much of a reputation as a lot of these other guys that we're getting on here, but the guy grew up playing basketball in Michigan. So, he ran into, the kids from Detroit and, nearby Flint, where he grew up in Lansing. And I am going with Irving Magic Johnson
Really?
as my point guard. Big, imposing point guard. You still get the size.
I've never gotten a fight.
I'm not saying.
Yeah, but he's got.
I'm telling you, dude. I think that he is sneaky. I mean, he never got into a fight, but man, there was a couple of times where you go back and watch some of those games with Celtics Lakers where he really wanted to rip into Larry Bird a couple of those times. He never threw anything because I think he was a little bit more composed. But if push comes to shove, I think Magic Johnson has the size and the strength to just fuck somebody if he wants to. No pun intended on that. There's no pun intended on that.
What do you mean, no pun intended?
Too soon.
Pun is 100% intended.
I did not mean it that way. I honestly didn't think about that until after I said it.
Dude,
But-
I love Magic. I'd probably take the dude selling popcorn in the stands ahead of them in a fight. Magic
Yeah.
Johnson, the dude's the most lovable dude in the history of basketball with the big smile and the goofy grin.
I think that he is lovable on the outside because he is a smart, savvy businessman.
Yeah, if
But
this was in
you
the business
put-
room, I would take him, not in an alley.
Would you let me finish? If you put him in an alleyway in a do or die situation, that dude was 100% for the team. Whatever you wanted for the team, Magic Johnson was going to do. And I think that if you put him up against somebody that is going to get under his skin, like Larry Bird, I mean, he didn't hate Larry Bird like some of these other, rivalries that you get with, but he had a passion against Larry Bird and to beat Larry Bird. And if you put him up against somebody that tested him like that in a back alleyway, I think Magic Johnson, push comes to shove, I rely on him. And I stand by my decision. And also a great fucking point guard.
You have Lambeer on your team, right?
Yeah.
Okay, he needs somebody to keep the peace in that team. So I think Magic's a good guy to have.
Exactly. See, you've got Lambeer is the wild card, and then Magic Johnson is the guy that kind of reins him in a little bit and directs that anger to where it needs to go. That's my decision.
Like life coaching him during the fight. Like you tell him
Not life coaching, but he's controlled. He's controlled, and that's what I need. You can't go off and have every player be a Dennis Rodman fire nukes at everybody from North Korea kind of guy.
Wow.
You got to have composure sometimes, and I think I've explained myself. I don't need to explain myself anymore. I stand by the pick.
And just looking at these starting fives, if we're talking about like an actual basketball team that's trying to win the finals,
If it's an actual
Dan's
basketball team,
is killing it right now. Dan's
Oh,
team
I'd say
is
Frank's team's killing it.
filled with Hall of Famers. I mean, he's got Magic. He's got that's true.
Frank
does
has
have-
D Rose, MJ, Larry Bird, and Shaq.
Yeah.
Lambeer is
If
just
it's an-
going to go straight
if
at
it's an
Derrick Rose's
actual
Lambier's just
game,
fighting everybody.
Yeah,
fucking
Frank's
right
team's
from the
killing it.
tip. Lambeer is
This is a
just
fight.
Tanya Harding Derrick Rose's knees.
Yes.
This is a
All
fight,
right.
not an actual basketball game. Let's make sure.
No, you
that's
gotta
clear.
play. You have to play basketball too.
Exactly. For my sixth man, like I said, I'm going sticking with what I know. Celtics Lakers. The guy that I think was maybe the scariest Celtic outside of KG on that team, and that's Kendrick Perkins.
Oh, Kendrick Perkins. He was a fake tough guy. Are you serious?
Fuck you, he was. Kendrick Perkins was not a fake tough guy. He
We
comes
count
and
him
I
as
think,
we count him as a backup.
yeah, that's
Yeah.
my sixth man
Yeah,
because
I think
he's
so.
not. I don't think that he's he's not at the level of everybody else, but he is a guy that could come in at spurts if you need him to and be a physical presence when you're trying to go up against the backups or the six men out there. I pick Kendrick Perkins.
All right, Kendrick Perkins, and he's a guy that played a lot off the bench at the end of his career. So
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And he was a guy that really he knew what his role was, and he can fill into that role. And for me, that's the sixth man.
All right, Kendrick Perkins, your sixth man. My sixth man, his best fighting days are when he was a starter, but always tough, always a guy that you knew was willing to throw a couple punches, and that would be Steven Jackson.
Oh man, I thought about that. Really thought about that.
Got the malice of the palace pretty well represented here.
That's true. I don't know if you guys, Lance, did you see Steven Jackson on Levitard this past week?
Oh yes, I did.
They had Steven
And I also
Jackson.
heard him on Rosillo too.
Yeah, they had Steven Jackson on a couple of different things this week, and one of the best things, they asked him if he could go back in time and change, anything, what would it be? And his one thing was, he said he would go back he said he wouldn't go into the stands for Mouse of the Palace, but he did say that, it was mainly because he really didn't want to get fined $3 million for going into the stands. And he said, honestly, if I knew I was going to get fined $3 million, I'm punching somebody's teeth out next time. You got to get your $3 million worth. And any guy that talks like that, I'm with.
Yeah, Steven Jackson was tough. I mean, wherever he was at, whether it was the Spurs, the Warriors,
Yeah.
Pacers, the dude was always ready to go.
And Tim Duncan called him the best teammate
Yeah,
that
Tim
he ever
Duncan
had.
loved him.
And that's saying a lot.
Player. I mean, I know him mainly as a tough guy. That's what I think of when I think of Steven Jackson. But the dude was a great player too.
To that.
All right, Frank, you're up.
Frank.
I had no idea going into this we were doing sixth men. I'm having a very hard time picking.
The banging on the clipboard, you can hear it. Click, click.
You know what? I'm just gonna go
there's,
for
There's
it.
so many guys. There's so many. I could go another couple rounds if we needed to.
I picture Lance with a Mel Kiper style board.
Oh, absolutely.
At his
I
house.
have a giant board. I have more players than we could have needed.
There's a couple of guys that are really, really tough that we don't have on here that I'm thinking of.
Oh yeah.
I'm sure there are. I'm just not thinking of them whatsoever.
This is why you got to make a
I'm
big
just gonna.
board.
Lance, you didn't invite me over for like a little skull set, like chalk talk and shit.
Can't be helping the competition.
No, but collaborate. All right, I'm just gonna throw a name out there because the dude's an assassin. I'm taking Scalabrini, White Mamba. There's too much talent on the
Frank. Fuck you.
There's too much talent. Dude, did you see Scalabrini's challenge where he went up against all those dudes that couldn't make college basketball? He dominated.
Oh, I love Scals, dude. I love him. That's so fantastic.
Oh my God!
Mamba's holding my
White Mamba
clipboard.
appearance.
Mamba's going to be holding the clipboard down. He'll go in when Shaq needs a breather and a Twinkie. It'll be fine. There's enough talent on the team to hold down the point.
That's not a dark alley pick.
Oh, hey, he's
Yeah,
gonna
but
stay
nobody's
down the dark
expecting him.
alley. He's going to be the light in the dark alley, illuminating everything up.
He's going to make it easier to
That
see
pacey.
everybody, and then boom, everybody's knocked out.
All right, Lance, finish us off.
Oh, okay. So I still have the point guard after going with the sixth man in J.R. Smith in the previous pick. And also a guy that's one of probably the better players on this out of all these guys as well. And that would be another Pistons representation with the bad boys, Isaiah Thomas.
Good pick. I was thinking about him.
Isaiah was
Because
tough.
you look at what he did. He was an amazing defender, was really good on offense too. But he was, able to play the way he did because he knew he had guys like Rodman and Mahorn, all those guys backing him up. And he's going to have that with my team as well. So Isaiah Thomas to round off our draft.
Now,
Magic
Isaiah
Johnson's
Thomas was
gay
one of the
lover.
first people I ever thought of for point guard, right around there at VP. But
Yeah, we're just gonna hold on. Sorry, Terry, but are we?
Okay, now
I really thought that Frank was the only guy that heard that.
I was just
Wait,
trying to
wait,
go
wait.
past it. He called Isaiah
Kotick said
Magic's
that
gay
Isaiah
lover.
Thomas, Magic's gay lover,
that was the whole
and you just missed
that
it.
was the whole
Yeah,
story.
Terry completely
People
missed
thought
it.
that
I
they
was just
were
trying to go
doing
past
it. That's the whole thing. Everyone thought like him, and because Isaiah would come and like stay at Magic Johnson's house all the time, and then all of a sudden Magic Johnson gets AIDS. It's like people back then they all thought like, hey, where there's smoke, there's fire.
that would be the best
And when
story in
there's
Magic
AIDS,
history
there's
basketball.
sex.
It should literally just be the the front page of a pamphlet for sexual education at like the Catholic school.
Oh my gosh.
There's AIDS, there's sex.
Just two, and then two animated characters of Isaiah Thomas and Magic Johnson, just like
Doesn't Isaiah Thomas just have the most guilty look of all time whenever you
Always.
yes,
Always.
just two guys shrugging it out, like, could have happened.
Couple question marks
don't know.
around. I don't know what's going on.
We don't know.
All right, so let's go back through our picks. First of all, the number one guy that didn't get drafted, I can't believe, is Ben Wallace.
Yeah, I had him
Like,
down.
Yeah.
Ben Wallace is my number 2 center, probably.
I mean,
yeah.
for me, Ben Wallace, Chris Anderson, guys like Reggie Evans, he was a big enforcer the last couple seasons. One of the guys that if we had kept going, that I definitely would have looked at, Deshaun Stevenson, just for what he kind of did to LeBron in the finals a couple years ago with the Mavs.
I was thinking of Lance Stevenson.
Yeah.
Lance
Yeah, he could be he
might
up
have
there
been,
too.
I thought he was a 6-man candidate. I was thinking of the Admiral. Like, he had to learn how to fight. He was in the Navy. I couldn't pick him out of Oakley, though.
One guy that
Oakley.
this is probably more off the court, Delonte West.
Oh, yeah. That's a good
yeah.
one. No, you could put him on the course, too. He was a G, man. Yeah, that's a good one. I didn't think about him. That would be a good point guard.
Bang
I was
LeBron's
thinking
mom.
Ewing.
Who was better, Curry's dad or LeBron's dad?
Oh my God.
There you go.
All right, let's go through the picks. The
Yeah, let's
first
do it.
round, we had Rasheed Wallace, Michael Jordan, Rick Mahorn, Bill Laimbeer. Second round, Kevin Garnett, Gary Payton, Dennis Rodman, Matt Barnes. Third was Jerry Stackhouse, Larry Bird, Ron Artest, Reggie Miller. Fourth, AI, Charles Oakley, Shaq, Zach Randolph. Fifth, J.R. Smith, Derrick Rose, Latrell Sprewell, Magic Johnson. And sixth, Kendrick Perkins, Steven Jackson, Brian Scalabrine, and Isaiah Thomas. All right. Each of us has to pick one other person's team that we think is the best besides our own. We'll go in the same order. What do you think, Lance?
So aside from my team, the team I would like in a fight,
Yep, in a back alley brawl.
Terry, I'd have to go with your team because you got Latrell Sprewell, who you already mentioned with PJ Carlesimo, and he did that stuff on the court as well. Ron Artest, I mean, very well documented what Ron Artest did. Rick Mahorn and Charles Oakley, and then off the bench, Steven Jackson. I would go with yours.
All right, Frank.
Yeah, that's tough. I I would narrowly take Kotnick just for the fact that Bill Laimbeer is the biggest psychopath I've ever seen. Couple that with KG, and you get the skill from Johnson. I'm going with Kotnick.
Let's see. I think I'm gonna go with Frank, mainly just because he has Dennis Rodman. I think Rodman is the biggest wild card of anyone in the draft. There's a lot of crazy guys in here. I mean, Ron Artest is a crazy guy, but Rodman was at a different level on the court. Crazy. I think he's something that the NBA has never seen, nor will ever see like his level ever again. Jordan, I think, is a good pick. He's very tough, and I really like the Larry Bird pick. That's a tough team. That's the team of guys that they're going to get knocked down, but it's going to be really, really hard to finish them off in a fight.
Yeah, I actually was going to pick Frank too, because I think that you've got two of the best players that were also combined biggest trash talkers in Larry Bird and Michael Jordan. And then you throw in the absolute ballistic wild card of Dennis Rodman that can, like, there's a 50-50 chance that he either kills your team or kills the other team, but I still like those odds. And so, yeah, I have Frank.
Rodman, a.k.a. the Diplomat.
Oh, my gosh.
All right. Well, that's going to do it for our first sports Barguement. We're going to have it go on Twitter. We're going to put all their teams on there, and we're going to have a Twitter poll. You're going to vote for which one you think is the best. Which team would you like best in a back alley brawl? We're going to have all 4 teams up for you on Twitter, so you can check that out. Thank you for listening to Sports Barguements. For Dan Connick, Frank Gargano, and Lance Morris, I'm Terry Lash.